Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is designing postcards. I have always been a big believer in direct mail campaigns. I would say 20 or 25% of our leads come from direct mail. I attribute a portion of that success to the design of our postcards. We use Canva to make bright, eye-catching designs and include a photo of us. The graphics change from postcard to postcard, but the photo of us is always the same. The sellers may not remember our company name, but they remember our faces. The message is just as important. Some of these list generators include ridiculously stupid postcard templates. If you are pulling pre-foreclosure leads, those postcards may say urgent notice or behind on payments. If I was going through tough times, I certainly don't want to be reminded of that fact every time I go to the mailbox. Our postcards are generic with the same message. Thinking of selling? We buy houses as is, offer a fair price, and can close on your timeline. That message is not accusatory in any way, thus providing a friendlier introduction to our services. So, if you are looking to increase your leads, try changing up your postcards. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us my brother from another mother, Yasser Hatab. Yasser is an experienced serial entrepreneur and real estate professional with 2 decades of experience across the U.S. He's served in different roles ranging from realtor, investor, appraiser, construction manager, and even airline pilot. Alongside his lifetime passion for aviation, he's focused on his calling, which is to serve the real estate community. It is my pleasure to finally get him on the show, so welcome, Yasser.
Hey, thank you so much.
I'm turning up that applause because I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. I say you're my brother from another mother because we are coaches together in Homeschooled by Tariq El Musa, and we see each other constantly during the week. We have a group text going on, and so we're in constant communication. But here's a crazy fact. We've never met in person. So my work husband, Bud Evans, is the one who recruited you to be a coach with us. So that makes you my brother. That's why I said that. So I'm so happy to have you here, and tell the audience how you got involved in real estate.
Oh, man. Wow. Well, thank you again for having me. And you are my sister in real estate and homeschooled. I started in real estate in 2001. Just right after 9/11. I was a young, hungry entrepreneur, real estate investor. I don't know what you want to call it. I was hungry, and I knew that I wanted to serve the community in real estate. So I was 18 years old, essentially going out there, became a real estate agent just like everybody else, learned from the best in the business, and closed my first deal at 18 and a half years old.
Oh, my goodness.
And so by the time I was 19, I had a lot of deals under my belt, both as a realtor and as an investor. So that was pretty cool.
So you're an airline pilot. So you're doing real estate even before you became an airline pilot.
Yes. So what happened was I got my pilot's license at 17 years old.
Oh my God.
To be legal. It's like a permit. So you get your permit at 16 and a half and you get your license at 17. It's essentially the same way as a pilot. So I was building up my pilot ratings. You have several ratings that you have to do. You have your private pilot, instrument pilot, commercial pilot, multi-engine. So, and then commercial is usually the highest one during that time. Now there's one that's called an ATP. It's an airline transport pilot license. Now that's required by the FAA to be able to fly for the airlines. So I was working on that while I was working in real estate. So one was feeding the other, essentially, both passions.
I love that. And since we're siblings, I hear you're getting a private jet, so I have access to that, correct?
Of course, always VIP treatment right off the bat. We'll give you the homeschool treatment.
Excellent. All right, very good. So you kind of brand yourself as the property captain. So tell us a little bit about that.
Man, that I'll tell you what, and that goes to one of my mentors and one of my good friends. Essentially, that name came from both passions that I have in life, both aviation and real estate. I've always been, they've always been synonymous passions of mine. So this name came about a couple of years ago when someone brought me onto stage and said, "Hey, introduce me as Yasser Hatab, but not just as Yasser Hatab, the property captain." So the name stuck because everybody always calls me captain. The name stuck, and now it just added the property to it. So that's how the branding works now, apparently.
Well, I love it. And I was so excited to have you join our team of coaches. And you have been a huge asset to the group. And you're even starting on Sundays, you're doing a live webinar where you are opening up to the public. And what is going on with these webinars?
Oh, you know what, Jen, I am so excited about this webinar. The amount of value that I'm going to give to the public is insane, right? Like, I've been in it since 2001. I've learned so much and I'm still learning, you're breathing, you're learning. And that's the coolest part about it.
Yes.
So that webinar is going to be open. It's going to be streamed live in the flesh, and people will be able to get onto the webinar to ask any question about real estate, mindset, coaching, anything that has to do with business, right? It's an open Q&A where you'll be able to interact with me. This came from popular demand from a lot of people that I deal with, both experienced and new real estate investors and agents as well. So I'm excited about it. But here's the cool part. What's the name of it?
What is the name of it?
Good question. I thought you'd never ask. It's called Coffee with the Captain.
Oh.
Right. So the reason why I call it that is because I love two things. I love coffee and flying, well, and real estate, obviously. So coffee is my thing. That's why we're calling it Coffee with the Captain.
And how do people find this?
So this will be publicized on my Instagram, my Facebook, and all my social media. My Instagram handle, all of the handles are I am the property captain. That's my branding.
I love it. So being that you're going to be doing open Q&A, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I have a question for you. And I know you are the expert at seller financing. It is such a challenge to wrap my brain around it because I don't really understand how to approach a seller to get them to finance the deal that they're getting ready to sell to me. So I have a very specific property that we're looking at. It is in the state of North Carolina, in Greenville, North Carolina. It's a 30-unit building, and it was built in the 80s. And the owners, they live up in New York, up in your area, neck of the woods, and they own it outright, because I know that's one of the questions you're going to ask. It's a great little brick, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, are all the units. And we originally put an offer of probably around 900,000. And she said they would do 1.8. And so we came back and said, the most we can do is 1.2 million. And she said, nope, I'm holding strong on 1.8, but I think they are ready to get rid of it. So how would I approach them about doing seller financing?
Very good question. Wow. Congratulations on that one.
All right, property captain, talk to me.
So you're playing on my heartstrings because I love multifamily. I love, 30 units commercial. So that's my thing. So the first question I usually approach anybody is, what's the ARV, right? What is the property worth right now altogether? And
Like
that's
would that be the current stabilized value or?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
And
it's
so
different in commercial. I understand ARV for single family homes, but it's a little different when you're
correct.
talking about a cash producing asset here.
What
So keep going.
what's the market value pretty
Okay.
much, right? So that's what we look at first, right? After that, then I determine if the seller is not budging on the price, that's cool. Because we're not buying seller financing. The cool part about it is it's not just the market value that's the controller, right? It's not a flip, it's a rental. So the value is not in the price of the purchase, it's in the cash flow. So essentially what I would do is those 30 units, I would determine if they cash flow through seller financing. And essentially what the way you're going to be approaching the seller is very simple. I would like to take you and make you or upgrade you to becoming a lender.
Upgrade. All right. I like that word. Okay.
Yeah, everybody loves an upgrade, right? Think about flying in the airlines, right? You're taking a trip to Cabo or whatever, right? You're sitting in coach and flight attendant comes up to you and says, "Hey, would you like an upgrade?" Right? To first flight.
Upgrade.
Of course, so
Yes.
everybody loves an upgrade. So yeah, you're upgrading the seller to a lender. Okay. After that, we want to take a look at the terms. And the way that looks like is when you go to a bank and you want to borrow $1 million to the bank, do you tell them, I want to borrow $1 million? And then you give them your terms, or do they give you their terms?
They give you their terms.
So if you're the bank, I'll even joke with you and call you the Bank of Jen, even, So I would say, hey, the Bank of Jen, how would you like to structure your terms for this $1.8 million purchase? So obviously we need the four parts to create a loan, right? Because we're creating it from scratch, right? We need the down payment. How much cash am I going to give you? The principal amount. How much am I borrowing? The interest rate and the amortization, or the length of, how long we're going to be paying down. Then I have the secret weapon. The secret weapon to get deals closed, especially when I get a little bit of pushback with seller financing, is the balloon payment. Yep. Typically, I don't do anything less than 7 years. There's a lot of reason behind that.
I'm sorry, you don't do it less than 7 years?
I don't do it less than 7 years.
Okay.
So some sellers will be unrealistic and they'll come to you and tell you, I want a balloon payment in 2 years. It's not enough time to add value and to bring up the appreciation and all that. So that's why you want to push for longer term, like 7 years or up. Typically I do anywhere from 7 to 10 years. That's enough time to get some appreciation, get some, work done to the property, and really force appreciation as well.
So I've done a little bit of work building some rapport with these sellers. And I do know that number one, they don't have an email address.
Okay.
So that's telling me
something.
That's telling me a couple of things exactly. And I have sent them a letter, which they first called about, and it's a woman, but she always goes back to her husband. And I think they built this back in the 80s. And I know they're wanting to retire. So knowing that, like, I would want to present it to them as, what are you looking to need as far as monthly payments for your future? So once you retire, and that's how I want to present it is, this is a great opportunity for you to no longer manage the project, but to still get monthly payments on the same building, etc. So am I right in thinking that? How would I present that to them in presenting terms to them?
So dealing with people, obviously real estate is a people business, not a real estate business, right?
Right.
So just based on the fact that they don't have an email, I can tell you right now, they are ready to move on, right? And not have to worry about managing anything. So there's a couple of things that you look for what motivates people, right? We're all human. Doesn't matter what country we were from, what language we speak, how old we are. We're all motivated by something. Essentially, what I would do is during that conversation with that seller, I would actually look for that motivation. And it would be more open-ended questions, including, you know, if you're taking the money from this, where are you going to be spending it?
Okay.
Right. You brought up a good one, which is, you know, how much you looking to, if I was to take this off your hands right now and I was to give you money on top of it every single month, what would that look like? All open-ended questions. I don't ask questions that are yes or no questions because that's a dead end for me. I want to know. And through these open-ended questions, I'm finding out more motivation pieces. Sometimes a motivation, and I could tell you this, one of the biggest motivations for someone in that demographic with the portfolio like that, or a 30 unit, would be someone in above 70 years old. They've owned it for a long time. They've built it since the 1980s. So they, in their mind, it's still the 1980s. Obviously, there's some value add to the property, most likely.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, it's about giving them what they want. Okay. That's the cool part about creative finance and seller financing, is that you give the seller what they want in exchange for the terms. Okay. So the other aspect of it, obviously, since it was built in the 1980s, they're going to have some nice little tax. You know, Uncle Sam, you got to pay Uncle Sam something, right?
Right.
You're not going to let you off the hook like that. So that's one of the benefits. But I don't sell the benefit. I sell the concept.
Okay.
And what I mean by the concept is the concept of making money every single month and just paying taxes on just the interest part of it, which is a lot easier on people versus the huge capital gains tax on a sale.
So, Yasser, would you, knowing what I just told you, would you even offer the balloon payment? I mean, to me, it sounds like they would need something for retirement.
Yeah. So typically with older sellers, just, you know, older demographic, that's usually one of the objections I get is, hey, I don't want to wait 30 years to get the payment.
Okay.
And that's rightfully so. You know, you're at the end of your, you know, your retirement, you know, beginning of your retirement. You don't want to deal with, you know, having to wait 30 years. And that's legitimate. Typically, two things happen with these types of sellers in this situation. One, they don't want to wait. Okay, cool. That's where I would bring in the secret weapon, the ace up the sleeve, which is the balloon payment. Okay. The other aspect of it is, what happens if I pass away, is usually the most common question I get.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
And that's a very good question because it's legitimate as well. That's where bringing in the right person to draft up the contract with the seller. And in that contract, you want to add one more value to the seller besides the cash flow, besides the down payment. And that's connecting them with the right person to do their estate as well. Why? Because you want to be able to protect their heirs as well. In case, you know, when the time comes, now you're not having to go back to the drawing board and try to redo the whole thing all over again with their heirs and having to go through probate and all that.
All right. Very well said. Excellent, excellent advice on that. And I appreciate you allowing me to throw some Q&A right at you at the start here. So you are so good at this whole personal branding thing. You are the property captain, total badass. You help other people with their branding.
I do.
So what things do you look for in helping people decide their personal brand?
I could tell you this. One of the first things I look at is, can this person help themselves? Because it's easier to help someone who's swimming towards you or meeting you halfway versus someone who's swimming away from you and you're chasing them, doing most of the work.
I laugh because I know exactly what you're talking about. So keep going.
Right. So when we come to shake hands, I don't just go all the way to your face, right? I meet you halfway, right? So that's usually the first prerequisite of working with anyone with their personal branding. Second, I take a look at their vision. I want to see where they're going with it. What's their reasoning behind it? Okay. What do they want to accomplish? Who do they want to help? What message do they want to get out there? These are big questions that a lot of people don't think about when they say, oh, I just want to be on YouTube or whatever it is. You know, they don't know a lot of these answers. And so you give them, you plant the seed with these questions and you just walk away and let them give them homework, essentially, just like what we do with our students.
Yeah, exactly. So I know so many people who have this totally fake, like personal brand about them, and it's so inauthentic. And it's exhausting, actually. They want to be this person who's this, and they do all these cheesy reels on social media, and it's just exhausting watching them. And it's nothing like who they are. So how do you get past that inauthenticity? I think I said the wrong syllable there. Inauthenticness. How about that? And like, how do you get past that to really be their true selves and expand on that?
Well, that's a really great question. Well, I could tell you this. I grew up in New York. And
Shocking.
if it's anything about New Yorkers that you know, that anybody knows, is that New Yorkers are in your face, right? We don't sugarcoat anything.
Right.
And that's usually how I am with people who want a personal brand themselves, right? I could see right through the BS. I could tell why they're doing it. This is why one of the questions is, why are you doing this? What's your why? Just like when we talk to, like, let's say our new students, like, what's your why, right? What is your why for being in real estate? What is your why for putting your name out there, for having personal branding and standing out from the group? Is it selfish or is it selfless?
Ooh.
And so that's where, I really dig deep. And you could tell when people are doing it for themselves versus going out there and getting a message out. It shines. And if it slips through the cracks and they're still out there, I'll tell you something, Jen. This generation, they see right through it.
Yes.
They might be young, but they are sharp.
Yes.
They could tell when it's real and when it's not. Okay. And that's why, and real attracts real. That's just the way it works in social media. People gravitate to people that they can connect with and they feel genuine. They feel like they're genuine versus a facade.
Right.
So it's obvious, but sometimes I let people go out and, it's messed up because to say that, but, I let them go out and try that. But reputation is the most important thing in this business. And you only got one shot.
Right.
One shot, like what Eminem says, right? Only got one shot, right? So you only have one shot to get your message out there and to be effective, and you just come out with the big bang, And if you miss that shot, you're going to spend a lot of years trying to rebuild again. That's, there's two things you can't make. There's two things that are valuable: money and time. But time is super valuable. Even millionaires and multi-billionaires cannot make up time.
Right.
So that's important. And that's why I help people out from the beginning so they don't waste their time and my time.
When I kind of took on the title of being the bestower of badassery, it was one of those moments in my life where it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I was at a conference in Vegas. It was Thrive, Make Money Matter with Cole Hatter. And Cole Hatter. Yes. And his wife got up and spoke and was talking about having your mantra, like when you're working out and all this stuff. And hers was like, I'm a badass CEO biatch, and you have to physically do these things. And I'm like, well, what would my mantra be? And this is still newer in there, going through it. And like, I was really struggling at the time with, I'm a former school teacher and I love educating people. I love making a difference in people's lives. I love making people smile and feel proud of themselves. And so one of the things she said is that you're doing a disservice by not sharing your gifts. And I was like, oh shit. God, that really stuck with me. And so there was a group of us going, it was a break time. And I mean, my brain is just spinning. And we go to this Mexican restaurant and we're sitting in there, you know, people are drinking margaritas and like, I'm not talking because I'm just like, what is my mantra? You like, my brain was just going. And all of a sudden it hit me. And it's like your life before a certain point and then a life after, you know, your life after, how it changes. And so I stood up in this restaurant and I said, people need my badassery. And it was silent. Like all of my friends just kind of like put their drinks down and were looking at me. And this random chick across the bar, she goes, "You're my spirit animal." And I was like, yes,
that's it.
So it was just like, I'm doing a disservice by not having this podcast, by not providing this platform to share their people's badassery and stuff like that. And it was just one of those things. So with you, as you're taking on new students to help them with their personal branding, I know you asked them those questions, but how do you really, you know, get down deep and pull it out of them? Because it was tough. It was like sitting there, I'm like, you know, I was really struggling for a few months prior to that. So how do you pull it out of people?
Wow, that's a very good question. I start by asking questions about their past. And because a lot of people are stuck in their past.
Oh my
I realize
goodness.
that, you know,
Yes.
and look, you know, I'll keep it real with you. I was one of those people, you know, stuck in my past, stuck in my whatever I went through personally and stuff. And everybody has a story. But what people don't realize is that using that story is your superpower.
Right.
You know, and that superpower is your purpose. And I don't know how deep you want to get with this, but I could tell you this. My superpower came out of necessity. And it came from pain in my life. And so when I talk to people about their personal branding, it's not just slap a logo together and get a couple of YouTube videos out there. It's a bigger purpose. Forget about a message. It's a purpose. What is your purpose? And I ask these people these questions. And I can tell you one thing. Someone asked me what my purpose is. My purpose is to impact lives and get people to pass their past, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And not only that, to impact others as well with their message. So, and I usually start off with what my purpose is and how it came about. My purpose came about from losing a sister to cancer when we were kids. I grew up fast, Jen. I grew up fast.
I did not know this about you.
I lost a sister at 10 years old.
Wow.
And I saw the whole thing. I was the registered nurse at home, pretty much, you know. And I thought it was a normal thing as a child. I thought it was a normal thing, giving, you know, changing food bags and colostomy bags and everything like that. But what happened was when she passed away, she had the beautiful name too, Dahlia. Like she was such a flower. I love her. Oh my God. So everything I do now, I do it because of Dahlia. Every person I help is because of Dahlia. Because I know deep down inside, when I look up, I know she's looking down at me. And I know she's smiling because she was a helper. I was a selfish kid. Growing up, I was a selfish kid. And, you know, that's how kids are, right? We have our super id, right? From psychology, where it's just about me, me, me. Dahlia changed that for me at 10 years old. She was 4 when she passed away.
Oh my goodness.
So since 10 years old, I was thinking about other people. And every time I helped someone, it was because of Dahlia.
Well, you ooze the whole giving aspect of everything. You are above and beyond from so many people that I have met, and that you are constantly giving back and sharing your knowledge. And I'm truly appreciative to have you as my new brother from another mother. And thank you so much for that. And what a gift you have to share with others. So if people want to come to you and learn more about developing their personal brand, how would they find you?
They're very simple and very reachable on social media. All platforms, I am the Property Captain.
The Property Captain. Well, Yasser, I appreciate you sharing that story so much. And the second half of the podcast is what makes Yasser a badass, which you are. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Is it a book or multiple books? Because there's so many.
It changes daily for me what's made a huge difference. But most recently, what is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
I could tell you this. If it was between two books, it would be the 48 Laws of Power.
Okay. Who wrote that?
I forget the
On the spot.
On the spot. Yeah. Yeah. So I forgot the
That's okay.
name. But it is a very historic book. It's used for both personal and business life. But if I was to really pick, it would be The Secret.
I love The Secret. By the way, what is the second book that came out after The Secret? I'm trying to look for it on my bookshelf. Did you read the second one?
I've read all 5 of them.
There's 5?
There's 5.
Okay. Well, I love The Secret. So go back to The Secret, because that's how I actually found Jack Canfield. And I became one of a Canfield certified trainer because I loved him on The Secret. So tell me, I'm totally hijacking your book here, but tell me why The Secret was so important to you.
The Secret changed my perspective on everything in life. I must have read that book like 7-8 times now, since I picked it up. I picked it up just recently, and I was introduced to it by my wife, Nia. She really opened up my eyes to the law of attraction and how it works, and it is amazing. This is life-changing stuff, Jen.
Have you watched the movie?
I have.
This is the other book I was telling you about, The Greatest Secret.
The Greatest Secret.
Have you read this one?
That one is pretty good.
Yes. Yeah. Not as good as The Secret, I will tell you that.
Yeah. So there's 4 parts after that. It's
Really?
The Power, and I have to look it up, but it's
Okay.
The Power, and one of them is about money, the law of attraction, how it works with money. One is with love. And the other one was with friendship. It's so many good books out there. But again, it's not just a book. It's a guide to life, right? In every way possible. So that's definitely my favorite book.
And the law of attraction ties right back to, building your personal branding, because
Correct.
That's attracting people to you. So
Correct.
no wonder that's one of your favorite books. I love it. All right. The first A in badass is advice. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh man, you know what? My father's name is Mohi, and my father changed my perspective in life with this one. He talked about, if you relax now, you're gonna work your butt off later for a long time.
So true.
If you work your butt off now, you'll relax later. And that's, you know what? That ties into work with your mind, you'll go longer places. You'll go further. But if you work with your hands, you're going to be working with your hands for a while.
Right. Excellent advice, Dad. That was great. All right. The D in badass is drive. What drives Yasser to be successful?
So being a leader.
Shocking. You're such a great leader.
Thank you. Knowing that people depend on me is what motivates me, what gets me up in the morning, what keeps me up sometimes, because I am a leader. And what does a leader do? There's a difference between a leader and a manager, right? A leader does with you. He does the work with you, or she does the work with you, and gives you the vision, paints the whole picture for you, and does the work with you to make sure that you grow as well.
I feel like I'm in church. I just want to yell, amen. Yes. I'm like, hallelujah. And, that really hits home to me because I love being a leader as well. And I feel like I have a gift to inspire others. And that's where I was like, people need my badassery. It just like came out of nowhere. And same thing for you, Yasser. You are doing a disservice by not sharing your awesomeness with everyone. And I am reaping the benefits of that myself by just being around you as much as we are. So I do truly appreciate you are gifted in being a leader. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Giving back.
So
Always.
good. Yes.
Always giving back. Just getting your message out there, getting your, serving your purpose, and then giving back have always been my drive.
Huge.
That's my ultimate purpose.
Yes. And real estate is, provides that for you because you start setting up this passive income coming in and you have all this time to give back. And it's such a great avenue for that.
Correct.
All right. The first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
I said it earlier, time versus money. You can make one, but you can't make the other. So time management is huge, especially running several businesses. So what I do is typically on Sunday is my day and my family's day. And during that time, usually is when I'm setting I call them weekly rocks. And these are typically 3, and this is what I teach my students as well. These are the 3 things that you need to accomplish, hell or high water, throughout the week. And you have a deadline. You have to hold yourself accountable because saying that you're going to do something and saying and then actually doing it are 2 different things.
Right.
So setting your weekly rocks, actually putting them up in front of you on a board, let's say, or on the wall, you look over and you'll feel like, oh my God, I'm letting myself down. It's Thursday and I still have not worked on my first rock. Why? Because life happens.
Right.
Distractions happen. That's just how life works. But what I typically do is I put everything aside and focus on those rocks. And the earlier, the better, because now I could go into my secondary rocks, which is the following week rocks.
Right.
That I want to attack.
So is this from Gino Wickman's Traction?
You got it.
I knew it.
Got it.
I'm like, oh, he's talking about rocks.
Yep.
All right. So to wrap this up, this acronym, the last letter is S for success. What does success mean to you?
A lot of people talk about money, right? Money is great, but money is not the end all.
Nope.
Be all. Money is just an instrument or a tool for everything else. And so for me, it's not just financial freedom, it's time freedom. Time, not just time for me, time for my family, time which ties into my other freedom, the freedom to live out my life helping others achieve their goals and their personal branding and just grow to become some amazing go-giving leaders even.
I love it.
So
I love it. Thank you, Yasser. And you heard me earlier in the episode give a badassery bestowment. Do you have a piece of advice for our listeners, a badassery bestowment of your own?
So I'll tell you this, talking to people all day, they always ask me, what systems do you use for real estate? What this, what that? And it's always about, essentially I call it, it's the shiny object, right?
The shiny object syndrome.
The good old shiny object, right? My thing is, one thing about real estate, I can tell you this, just being in it for so long, is that there's so many different ways to make money that people don't make money. And that's a heavy statement.
That's a huge Yasser quote right there. Huge.
And I know because I was one of those people.
Right.
It was like, do I do this? Do I do wholesaling? Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do
crypto?
Do I do crypto? Right? Like, everything. And one piece of advice, the best piece of advice I could give is invest in something that you understand. But pick in that one thing, it's like a chunk down kind of thing, right? Take, okay, I want to invest in real estate only. Great. Now what? Let's chunk it down to what? What part of real estate are you going to invest in? Well, I'm going to do wholesaling. Great. So become a wholesaler and be a badass wholesaler and just focus all your energy on that. Don't worry about anything else. Focus in on one thing until you become a master at it. So you're the go-to expert, just like with the creative finance. Right? People come to me for creative finance because of that, because I love what I do, right? And I'm very good at it. And I love teaching it. But does that mean that's the only thing I'm going to be doing? No. I'm an expert at it now. Now I can move on to, lately it's been corporate housing. That's been my favorite thing with the mastermind and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I pick one thing at a time, focus on it, become very good at it, then move on to the next.
Well, I think that is a perfect badassery bestowment to wrap up the show. Thank you, Yasser. And one more time, how do people find you to learn more from you directly?
You can find me on all the social medias, the Instagram, social media, all the social media. I am the Property Captain.
And then your website is thepropertycaptain.com.
You got it.
Perfect. Well, Yasser, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.